Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Peace and blessings of Allah be on you. I just recited the first chapter of the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran has a total of 114 chapters, some short, some long. This was one of the shorter chapters. The translation goes like this. The first verse was Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. This means by the name of Allah, who is Rahman and Rahim. Now, Rahman is an Arabic word which has many connotations. One connotation is that it covers that mercy of Allah, which is for everyone, whether they are good or bad, whether they believe in Allah or no, or whether they pray or they don't. So, for example, sun is for everyone, water is for everyone, and similarly, there are so many other things which are for everyone, whether they are good or bad. And Rahim is also a word with many connotations. And one connotation is that it covers that mercy of Allah, which is specific to the believers. So, for example, those who truly believe in Allah, their prayers are granted a lot more than those who don't believe. So Rahim covers that mercy, which is a result of good actions and prayers. Prayers are also basically good actions. So again, the whole verse was by the name of Allah, who is Rahman and Rahim, or by the name of Allah, who has a mercy for everyone, and then who has a special mercy, which is just reserved for those who do good deeds and who pray. So the next verse is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, which means that all praises for Allah, who is the Lord of all the worlds. And all the worlds here could mean that there are other worlds besides the world that we live in, or it could also mean that it could also mean that different aspects of our lives or different situations in our lives, or it could also mean different eras of history. So every new era is kind of a new world, and different situations of our lives, sometimes a new situation is like a new world. And so the verse is saying Allah is all praises for Allah, who is the Lord of all the worlds. Next verse is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, who is Rahman and Rahim. So these are the same two words. So this continues with the previous verse. The previous verse was saying all praises for Allah, who is the Lord of all the worlds. And this verse is saying who is Rahman and Rahim, which means again that whose mercy, part of whose mercy is for everyone, and then a part of his mercy is just for those who do good things and who pray. The next verse is also a continuation. It says, Malika Yawmiddin, who is the master of the day of judgment. Now, the day of judgment also has different connotations. One connotation is the more well-known one, that it's the day of judgment that will happen after death. But it could also apply to some situations in this life. So, for example, the prophets are promised that they eventually will win against their enemies, and the day when that happens can be called the day of judgment. And similarly, we have different kinds of days of judgments for different actions that we do in our lives. So if we have a goal and we make efforts in order to achieve that goal, the ultimate result is not in our hands, because despite our best efforts, sometimes we may not achieve the results that we thought we would get, because Allah is the master of the day of judgment. The ultimate results of everything are in the hands of Allah. So once again, the verse is, all praises for Allah. I'm reciting second, third, and fourth again. It's like it starts like this. All praises for Allah, who is the Lord of all the worlds, who is Rahman and Rahim, and who is the master of the day of judgment. So the next verse is, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. We worship you and we seek help from you. So this is what we are saying to Allah. It's a natural verse after the first four verses, that in the first four verses, different attributes of Allah were mentioned. And now after knowing these attributes of Allah, we are saying that we worship you and we seek help from you. And by you here, it means to Allah. We worship you, Allah, and we seek help from you. So the next verse is Ihtina Sirat al-Mustaqim, which means guide us to the straight path. And then the next verse is telling us what path we are asking. Sirat al-Lazina anamta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. The path of those who got rewards, and not the path of those who got punishment. And we are talking here of spiritual rewards and spiritual punishment. So the path of those who got rewards, and not the path of those who got punishment, and also not the path of those who lost their way. So punishment usually is referring to the bad actions which people do. So they get a wrath of Allah and they get the punishment. And the losing of the way generally refers to as wrong beliefs. So the whole verse again is saying that show us the path of, so the last two verses together, because they are together combined. And so again, the translation of those last two verses is, guide us to the straight path, the path of those who got spiritual rewards, and not the path of those who got spiritual wrath or punishment, and also not the path of those who lost their way. Allah bless you.